office, and it's a lot of fun. I'm going to start off today with I have a few PowerPoint slides, and I have a few pictures, PDF pictures to share to kind of give folks an idea of what to expect when they come to vote. So if you'll give me 1 second while I switch. Slideshow. Sorry, I'm not as smooth as Dave is on this. All right, we're going to start with important dates. So Election Day is Tuesday, October 6th. That's the first Tuesday of October. It's the same every year. The City of Homer election and the Kenai Peninsula Borough election both run simultaneously with each other. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. For the City of Homer, polling places are City Hall and the City Council chambers. That's the Homer number 1 precinct. And this year there's a change. Homer number 2 is going to be open at the Homer United Methodist Church. Formerly, the Homer number 2 polling place was at the Senior Center, but because of COVID restrictions, the Division of Elections had to find a new polling place for Homer number 2. And so if you traditionally vote at the Senior Center, please go to the Homer United Methodist Church to cast your ballot on Election Day. You also have an option for voting absentee in person. A lot of people refer to this as early voting. It is early voting during the federal and state elections. An early voting opportunity is that you actually cast your ballot that day. These ballots get counted independently of by our canvass board. So absentee in-person voting opens Monday, September 21st, and it runs through Monday, October 5th. It will be downstairs at City Hall near the city clerk's office, either inside the council chambers or at the city clerk's office. It will be open during regular business hours from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. You don't need to apply or have any special circumstances to vote absentee in person. Anyone can vote absentee in person 2 weeks prior to Election Day. Another option is voting by mail. You do have to apply to receive a ballot by mail, and that application deadline is Friday, October 2nd at 5 p.m. Applications are available online on the city clerk's webpage. We also have, since City Hall is closed to the public right now due to COVID, we do have a black box outside of our office that's getting upgraded into an open cabinet where you can find absentee ballot applications for city and borough elections and also for the state election coming up in November. Their application deadlines are different, and you can always call our office for more information on that. But for the City of Homer absentee by mail, the application deadline is Friday, October 2nd at 5 p.m. If you do choose to vote by mail, your voted ballot can be returned to the city clerk's office, and we'll accept those until the polls close on Election Day. Envelopes that are returned by mail must be postmarked no later than Election Day and received prior to the canvassing of the elections, which is going to happen on Monday, October 12th. Another option you have for voting is by electronic transmission, and that's by fax or by email. And there is a separate application if you would like to receive a ballot by electronic transmission. Those are also available online and here at City Hall. The application deadline is Monday, October 5th at 5 p.m. And those voted ballots must be returned by October 6th at 8 p.m. So by the time the polls close on Election Day. So that's a little summary of important dates to remember for elections. I'm going to switch over and talk a little bit about what absentee voting looks like, because not everybody has done that before. So if you come to City Hall during the absentee voting period, you will be asked to fill out this absentee in-person oath and affidavit envelope. That's the first step. You'll fill out 2 envelopes, one for the city ballot and one for the borough ballot, since we'll be doing both at the same time. And some people say, why do I have to fill out 2 envelopes? This is silly. Well, the City of Homer canvasses or counts their absentee ballots here in Homer, and the Kenai Peninsula Borough absentee ballots are counted at the borough office. This is the same for other cities within other municipalities in the borough. For example, the City of Seward, it's the same thing. They count their ballots, their city ballots in Seward, and the borough ballots go to the borough offices and they get counted there. So that's why voters have to fill out these 2 envelopes. You'll complete the required information in section 1, fill out your name. If you have recently changed your name since the last election, you can fill that out. We ask to know where your Alaska physical residence is, and also your mailing address. And then you'll ask to provide one identifier, either the last 4 digits of your social security number, your driver's license, your state ID. Political affiliation is not required on this envelope. It's just an option if you'd like to select one. We do ask that you provide your date of birth for verification purposes, a phone number in case we have any issue where we need to contact you, and then your voter signature. And then on the right side of the envelope, you'll see the little section for canvas board use, and we'll talk about that a little bit later under canvassing the election. If you're going to vote by mail, you'll receive a ballot package that will include a ballot, a return envelope, and a secrecy sleeve. And so on your return envelope, there is this information that needs to be provided so that the canvass board can verify your voter registration. There's also a voter certification that says that you're eligible to vote, that you're not going to vote in any other matter any other way in the election, and that your signature is being attested to by a witness other than an authorized official. Let's see. Sorry, something just caught my eye and it kind of distracted me. Anyway, but your voter signature is required on your envelope. There's another section over to the left for the canvas board use where we'll review and verify your voter registration. And then over to the right, it says that your signature must be witnessed. And you have 2 options for that. You can either have it witnessed by an official authorized to administer an oath. So a notary public, a city clerk's office can do that. I don't know that the postmaster's office is doing it anymore, but that used to be an option. Or option number 2 is a witnessing affidavit, and that is that your signature is witnessed by a person who's at least 18, who's over 18 years of age. So one of those 2 signatures need to show up on your envelope as well as your own voter certification. So when you get your ballot package in the mail, you'll complete your ballot. There's some instructions on the secrecy sleeve that will be included with your ballot. Vote your ballot, fold it in half, slide it into the secrecy sleeve, slide that into your return envelope that we just looked at. This is on the front. This is the front and the back of the secrecy sleeve, so you can see a little bit about what kind of information is available if you have questions. And then you put that back. You put the ballot inside the secrecy sleeve inside the envelope, and you return it to City Hall either by mail or by dropping it off. It's really important that your ballot be in that secrecy sleeve. Ballots must be in a secrecy sleeve to be eligible to be counted. So don't forget that one important step. Another voting opportunity that we didn't talk about on the slide is there's instances where there are voters in the community who are unable to get to the polling place either because of illness, disability. There's a variety of reasons that they may not be able to get to the polling place. And so those voters have an opportunity to request a personal representative come to City Hall either during the absentee voting period or on election day and get what's called a special needs ballot. And what that means is their personal representative comes to City Hall, they sign our special needs log. They will be provided this envelope, and on the side where it says step 1, the personal representative must complete all of these items, including their name, an identifier, their address, the name of the person that they're taking the ballot to, and then they have to sign at the bottom. And once they complete that, the election worker will provide a ballot and a secrecy sleeve to the personal representative along with this envelope. The personal representative will then be able to take the ballot out of City Hall, to the voter who's at home or unable to get to the polls, and they'll vote their ballot, put it in their secrecy sleeve, put it into the envelope, and they'll complete the step 2 portion, where the voter must acknowledge that they are a citizen of the United States, they're at least 18 years old, name and residence, provide at least one identifier. The voter will sign at the bottom, and then after they're done, then the personal representative will sign at the bottom also again. One thing about this type of voting is that the representative who signs under step 1 must be the same representative who signs under step 2. So that's an important thing to remember also. And again, the secrecy sleeve, the ballot must be in the secrecy sleeve before it's put back in the envelope and delivered to City Hall. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint now. Okay, one thing about election day and absentee voting, the absentee voting time period, is that campaigning is prohibited within 200 feet of any entrance to a polling place. Campaigning includes, but is not limited to, signs, buttons, t-shirts, hats, logos, bumper stickers, even conversation outside of the building, just outside the door, that include language regarding candidates or a proposition on the ballot. And this includes election day, and it also includes during the absentee in-person voting period here at City Hall. So if somebody shows up and they have a button or they have a sign or they have, they're talking in the lobby, we'll politely ask them to either cover their t-shirts or take their buttons off or remove their hats, or, maybe take their conversation someplace else. But that's something important to remember for election day and for absentee voting. Going to stop sharing now and just share a little bit of information. So on election day, if you're voting in person, sorry, I just on election day, if you're voting in person, you'll go to your polling place, either here at City Hall or at the Methodist Church. This year, we're taking precautions for COVID to help reduce the spread. We're asking that voters wear masks. It's not required. It is not required, but the option is available for voters. We will have masks available on site. We will have gloves and sanitation supplies as needed. Another thing that we're doing this year is, instead of an I voted sticker, we ordered some nice City of Homer I voted pens. City of Homer I voted, Kenai Peninsula Borough. So when people come in person to vote, you'll be given a pen when you get there. You'll sign in on the register with that pen, show your ID to the poll worker. You'll take that pen with you to the next table where you'll be issued a ballot for the city election and a ballot for the borough election. And you'll take that pen with you into the voting booth to vote your ballot. And when you're done voting, you get to take that pen with you as a souvenir. We're going to be having these pens instead of stickers this year to help reduce the spread and to help reduce the need for the election workers to have to sanitize pens in between voters. I'm hoping that will be a helpful way and a fun souvenir for people to take home. If you come to the polling place and you go to the register to sign in and you show your ID and the poll worker lets you know that your name does not appear on the ballot, that your name does not appear on the register, you have the opportunity to do what is called a question ballot. And I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you what that envelope looks like. So this is a question ballot oath and affidavit envelope. If for some reason your name does not show on the register, that does not mean that you're not able to vote. You can definitely vote. No voter will ever be turned away, but you may be asked to vote this question ballot oath and affidavit envelope. It's very similar to the absentee by mail envelope. It asks basically the same questions. You'll have an area to sign at the bottom. The election official will sign also. And over on the right-hand side, you'll see that the reason for the question ballot may be that your name is not on the precinct register. Maybe you forgot your driver's license or your identification. There's a few different reasons why you may have to vote a question ballot, but those are the main ones. Either you forgot your ID or your name doesn't show up on the register. So if you're asked to fill one of these out, once you've completed it with your pen that you got when you checked in, you'll be issued a ballot and a secrecy sleeve. You will go into the voting booth and vote your ballot, fold it up and place it in the secrecy sleeve, and then bring it back to the table where you filled out your envelope, because that ballot will go into the envelope and be counted after the election with the absentee ballots by the canvass board. And I'm looking at the clock and it looks like I'm running out of time. So real quick, I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint and just touch on what happens with my ballot. If you're voting on election day, your ballots are cast the traditional way using the optical scan units. When the polls close at the end of the night and the election is closed, a tape will print out to provide preliminary election results. If you vote an absentee question or special needs ballot, those envelopes are reviewed by the election. Initially, they're reviewed by the city clerk's office. We're expecting to have a few more, so we may bring in an additional helper to help us verify the ballots. Those ballots are compared to the election day registers to ensure that a voter who voted absentee did not cast a ballot on election day. The envelopes are then provided to the canvass board for final review and counting. And what the canvass board does, the canvass board is made up of 2 election officials and at least 2 members from the city clerk's office, myself and one of the deputies. And what we'll do is we will review the envelopes together. We will open the envelopes and separate the envelope that has your information on it from your secrecy sleeve that includes your ballot. Once we've separated all those, we take the envelopes that have identifying information away from the table, and then we take the ballots out of the secrecy sleeves, open them up, and use the optical scan units to count those ballots. Once the tape prints out that shows us what our counts were for the absentee ballot and question ballots, then those get added to the election night results for the final certificate of election that gets adopted by resolution by the city council at the meeting on October 12th. Stop sharing again. And it's 11 o'clock, so I think my time's up. I'm happy to answer questions when the question and answer period comes up. That's a lot of information, and I talked fast and stammered a little bit, so I apologize for that. This is new. But yeah, please let us know if you have any questions, and definitely contact the clerk's office if there's anything that we can help you with.
Melissa, this is Alex talking. Do you see the Q&A that we have 3 questions right away? Sure. I think I've touched on them, but it'd be good to visit them again.
Yes.
Okay.
Question number 1 says, can an absentee ballot be disqualified if the person has used another witness, not an official, to sign? So an absentee by mail ballot can either be signed by somebody who can administer an oath or by somebody who's over 18 years of age. So if you're voting at home and you have an adult child, like your son may be in town, or your husband or your wife or your partner, they can sign your envelope as a witness. Another one, what is the clerk's phone number? Our phone number is 907-235-3130. The next question, can Kachemak City residents vote absentee in person at the City Hall? Kachemak City residents will vote at the Borough Annex, which is been relocated from the, it was down on Pioneer near these, across the street from Captain's Coffee. Their location has moved to the Borough Maintenance Building, which is next to the Boss Hogs restaurant where the bowling alley used to be. You can vote there if you're outside city limits. If you live inside city limits, you can vote the city and the borough ballot here at City Hall. And please clarify when absentee and person votes are counted. Absentee and person votes are counted by the canvass board. This year we're doing it on Monday, October 12th, beginning at 12:30, the canvass board will convene. This is open to the public. So if anybody wants to come and watch the canvassing process, they're certainly welcome to do that. And I believe we will have a Zoom set up since it is a public meeting, and depending on the status of City Hall at the time, hopefully we'll be able to have a Zoom set up for folks if they want to come in and observe or observe that on Zoom. So I hope that was helpful.